During the confessions that we have in Yom Kippur, it's important to note how a person should confess. It's not only that a person actually says the words that they have, they must actually feel it. They must feel the regret for the sins that they've done. Since we're all created in the image of God, it's important to realize and to recognize that we all want to do good, we want to do great, and we want to connect to God. But of course, we become sullied in sin, and we tend to do things that may not necessarily be approved by God. So on Yom Kippur, we come to the confessionary prayers, and we say them, and we mean them, and we feel them. And this is how we do them. When it comes to the Ashamnu service, the Ashamnu prayers, which we'll say throughout our Yom Kippur, it starts off with a paragraph that says, Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, God of our forefathers, may our prayers come before you. Tavo lefanecha tfilaseinu, v'al tisalem mitchinasenu. Do not ignore our supplications. When a person says this paragraph, he's supposed to be slightly bent over. Slightly bent over in a state of humility. He should not be feeling proud of himself. Look, I'm a sinner. This is great. I'm a wonderful sinner. No. He should recognize that sin that he has, the sins that he has, and humble himself. This is why we take physical action upon ourselves, so we have to put ourselves in a physical position of humility. We bow our heads low, we bend our backs to show a sense of humility. Following that paragraph, we begin the Ashamnu prayer. The Ashamnu prayer is an alphabetized prayer. Each word begins with a letter of the alphabet. Ashamnu, Bagadnu. In each one of those letters, we're supposed to strike our chest. You don't have to smash your chest. You don't have to break your ribs. You just have to make a fist and take the action of penitence, of showing that you've done wrong. At each word, you're going to bang your hearts, or the area as to where your hearts would be. You bend over slightly, and you say, Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu. Now, if you don't know the words, of course, say them in English, because we have to understand what the value of these words are and what they actually mean. But each one of those words in the Ashamnu prayer, you're going to be slightly bowed, make a fist, and strike the area of either your heart or your chest at each word. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu. There's no need to be like a staccato machine gun. There's no need to see how fast you can actually hit it. You don't have to do like this in order to get through. But think of each word, what it actually means. We have become guilty. We have betrayed. What does it mean to betray? What does it mean to become guilty? How did I become guilty? What was my motivation behind my guilt? How did I betray? To whom did I betray? Think about these words as you actually say them. And then, when we get to the next prayer, it's called the Al-Chet prayer. At the Al-Chet prayer, at each word of Chet, of the words Chatanu, Chet, which is sin. So we say V'al-Chet, and on the sin, Shechatanu lefanecha. In English, we would say, for the sin that we have sinned before you, for the sin that we have sinned before you. Every time you say the word Chatanu, is when you're going to be striking your chest. Now, although these words are written in the plural, such as Ashamnu, we have sinned. We have become guilty. Al-Chet Shechatanu, for the sin that we have sinned before you. They're said in the plural because there's an element of collective Judaism. That means when I sin personally, that has an effect on everybody else. And a part of the Jewish people has sinned. So my sin is not just simply a personal sin. It is also a collective sin of the Jewish people. Therefore, when you go through the Al-Chet and the Ashamnu prayers, be sure to keep some of these ideas in mind. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu. Bow your head. Put yourself in a state of humility. Strike your chest at each time. And keep in mind what each of these words actually mean.